A large portion of Americans think that the housing market is headed for a crash similar to the Great Recession of 2008. But there is actually some good news. According to the most recent data, the current market conditions are nothing like that led to the crash of '08. According to an article on NerdWallet, 67% of Americans believe that another housing crash is imminent within the next 3 years. Inflation is real, affordability issues are real, the market shift is real. But there are 3 things that are very different from today's market than the one that led up to 2008. The first major thing that's different this time than last time is lending standards. Leading up to 2008, it was much easier to secure financing and get a loan for a house. In fact, many financial institutions lowered their threshold for financing to make sure that just about anybody could get a loan. As a result, lending institutions took much greater risk, both in the person applying for the loan and the loan products that they offered. As a result of those lower standards, that led to a massive surge in defaults, foreclosures, and with all that inventory that came back on the market, it caused prices to fall dramatically. Now, if you've recently secured financing to buy a home anywhere in the last 5 to 10 years, you can attest to the fact that it is a very different process. It's incredibly regulated, very strict. They require every little bit of documentation you've ever had, and then they're going to ask for it a second time just to confirm. This graph from the MBA, the Mortgage Bankers Association, really helps tell this story. As you look at the line graph in this index, the higher the number, the easier it is to get a mortgage. The lower the number, the harder it is. Tighter standards have really helped prevent a situation like last time, which will lead to less loan defaults and less foreclosures. Which leads me to number 2. Foreclosure numbers have massively declined since the Great Recession. This data from Adam shows the number of foreclosure starts by quarter since 2005. As you look at this graph, you can see in the most recent quarters, there has been an uptick in foreclosures. But again, let's look at the whole picture. Even though there's been a slight uptick, it's still nowhere near the levels of 2007 to 2012. And we're still in a position of buyer demand and lack of inventory that a lot of those people who get in trouble are going to be able to sell their home without foreclosing. Thus, inventory stays low, prices remain stable. Because during the crash, we had a ton of homes for sale. And then a ton more homes went into default and foreclosure. So you took an already healthy inventory and you skyrocketed it, which caused prices to plummet. It's always about the basics of supply and demand. If there's more houses than there are buyers, buyers are going to get a better deal because they have more choices and sellers have more competition against each other. If it flips, like the market we've been in for the last year or two, and there's more buyers than there are houses for sale, then the prices are going to go up because buyers are going to be fighting over the same house. For historical context, back in 2008, there were way too many homes for sale and not enough buyers. And many of those homes for sale were defaults or foreclosures or short sales, which caused prices to fall dramatically. Because again, if you're wanting a house on Elm Street and there's only one and 10 of you want it, it's going to cause demand and the price is going to go up. But if there's 7 houses for sale on Elm Street and there's only 2 buyers, you're going to be able to pick and choose. The houses are going to be fighting for you, so they're going to have to reduce their price. Currently, housing supply is still well below what we need to meet buyer demand. This graph from NAR illustrates the supply issue that we've been dealing with. This bar graph shows the national housing supply, and as of 2022, we saw an average of 2.7 months of supply. In 2008, we had almost 4 times that amount. So lending standards are a lot tighter, and while that can be frustrating for you buyers out there who have to supply every bit of paperwork you've ever owned, it's for your benefit to make sure that once you get in the house, you stay in the house. Because of those lending standards, the foreclosure rates are way lower than we've seen in many, many years. And to top it all off, the supply is still low. So even though a recession is imminent and there's a lot of people predicting a big housing crash, I just don't see it based on the available data that we have. And if this was the market we had leading up to 2008, that recession would have been vastly different too. I hope looking at the current market conditions helps ease your fears about the upcoming market. Is it time for you to go buy a house right now or sell your property? I don't know. It's a completely individual decision, but as I always say, it is 100% a time to have a conversation. Get with somebody who's a professional who you trust, because if it's truly not the right time, anybody who's got any ounce of ethics is gonna tell you so. But at least you'll have the conversation and be prepared. As I continue to review the local data, whether or not we're headed for a soft landing or a full crash, I'm always gonna try to be on top of it and current for you so you can make the best decisions. I'm Lindsey Johnson, your resource for all things real estate. See you next time.